couple of guests, Jason Woolley later, and now Brewer expert Dom Cotroneo. That's how I describe you. You are my Brewer expert. You okay with that?
I guess. I mean, I've been around the game enough. I hope that, I've learned a thing or two from these guys. Appreciate that.
All right. My view of the Brewers is very easy. Whatever they do, I think it's right, and I'm amazed that Arnold hasn't been paid a ton of money to go somewhere else because what he's done to follow up Stearns is amazing. So if I'm wrong about any of that,
amazing.
Let me know now.
Well, he just got paid money. He got a new title this past offseason. I mean, the Brewers hit so many checkpoints of what small market organizations need to do to keep their top-end talent. They give Matt a new title, some other lieutenants new titles.
Whatever they paid him or whatever they called him, if I'm at 10 other teams, I don't care what the Brewers, we'll match it, add 30%, and we'll call you whatever you want.
Right. It's amazing, though. If it was that simple, everybody would have already done it, right? If all
I don't know. Maybe they don't think he's that good.
Do what the Brewers do.
What do you say? Do they? Go ahead.
I think they understand it takes years to do this, right? I mean, just look at David Stearns, right? You have unlimited amount of money over there in New York, and they've made the playoffs once in his tenure, obviously at the Brewers' expense. But last year, they were the biggest failure in the sport. So it just goes to show that it doesn't happen on a yearly basis to be guaranteed good immediately.
But here's my theory. If you can win in Milwaukee, you can win anywhere.
There's something to that, but at the same time, something that I've explained to people, too, where it's more about if you can win in Milwaukee and win anywhere is true, absolutely. But it's more of just sort of a mark, a scarlet letter on the Chicago Cubs, right? They get to play in the small pond. The Cubs are the big fish in the small pond, and yet they can't beat the Brewers. Like, isn't that amazing to think that the Cubs have every advantage you could think of? They have an amazing spring training facility down here. They have a nationwide fan base. They have, an incredible amount of history, and they have a World Series ring. So there's something to be said like, hey, they've done it, well, the Brewers haven't. And that's true. But yet, since that World Series ring, the pace car has simply been leading the Brewers and not the Cubs.
And so my question to you is, talking with Dom Cotroneo, my Brewer expert, how is that? How has that occurred in your belief?
I think it's patience. When Stearns came in 2016, he was very open about the fact, like, give me a minute, give me some time, and we'll get this right. And they almost got it right in 2017, remember? I mean, how quickly they were a competitive team, given it was all coming down at the end of the tenure with Rags, and was just thinking about, all right, council comes in mid-year, and it's, all right, well, this is going to be a long project. No, it was really like a 2-year project. And now what the Brewers have done and said, we're never going to rebuild again. They're never going to be the team in both directions. They're never going to be a team that pushes the chips all in and has a $155 million payroll, which would be the highest they've ever had. And they're also never going to be the team that has the lowest payroll in baseball, tearing it down to the studs, like St. Louis Cardinals are currently doing right now. Think about that sentence, Homer. The Cardinals are tearing down and actively not trying to win games right now. That's a sentence nobody would have believed 10 years ago.
And I ask you as well, why is that? I mean, I have a very easy explanation. Because they didn't hire Matt Arnold. Like, it's all about the people in charge putting the organization together, drafting players, all that. And I don't care who you are, unless you got that figured out, even a great organization like the Cardinals can fall apart. And exactly. I don't follow them that closely. You can tell me, but that's clearly to me. And that's why I say if I was the Cardinals, this past offseason or wherever Arnold's contract went up, I'd say whatever, they can't match what we're going to do. They're Milwaukee. We're the St. Louis Cardinals. How long is it going to take? We don't care. As long as you think it is, do it the same way. Bring your people in. And I'd say, fortunately for Milwaukee, and maybe to their credit, because they paid him. But, I mean, I'd ask if I would call that Cotroneo guy. What would he say? He'd say, pay whatever you do to get Matt Arnold, and then you go from there. But is my theory wrong there?
It's not that far off. The thing that I think about with the Cardinals, they had some talent, pilfered from their organization. I look back to one of the big moments in baseball history was Jeff Luhnow leaving the Cardinals and going to the Astros. Now, Jeff Luhnow was the guy that created the full-scale, tear-it-down, tanking method for baseball, and Tom Verducci prodigized that the Astros would win the 2017 World Series. Now we know what we know, and that they were also sealing signs and all this stuff. But the point being is that Jeff Luhnow was a Cardinals lieutenant, decided to go to the Astros, tore it all down. And by the way, know who Jeff Luhnow hired there with the Astros? A young David Stern straight out of college. So there is a butterfly effect of everything with the Cardinals and with the Brewers. But it also takes time because what the Brewers have invested in and what the Brewers have set their eyes on, you got to remember where Mark Atanasios' money comes from and where his wealth comes from. He is an investor. He is on Wall Street. He understands long-term plays over short-term games. And I think that the Brewers understand, hey, would you rather invest, let's just throw a number out there, $50 million a year into your player development, into your staffs, into your facilities, into your technology, or would you rather invest, $50 million on two players who could round second base awkwardly and suddenly have a busted ankle? And I think the Brewers are choosing the former.
All right, I would add to that, because we'll get to that I think not only that, they've discovered that veteran pitching is way too expensive. So that when people complain about Atanasio, I go, no, wait, you don't get it. You can't spend that much money on pitching because it doesn't guarantee anything. So you want to take that risk, fine. No, spend all the money, everything on developing everyday players, farm system, whatever, and then when our pitchers get to a certain level, we trade them for more of that so that we have this huge amount, if we do it right, of everyday players, young, whatever, and then we hope that our young pitching one time can maybe be good enough that we can win a World Series. Because it's stupid to pay the whatever you have to pay for a veteran pitcher or to keep him because there's no guarantee it's going to work. Now, that's also my theory. Destroy it if you wish. I've been using it for years in defense of Atanasio because if the odds were better spending the money on the veteran pitcher, whoever it is, I think he would consider it. But the odds say it's not worth it because there's no guarantee you'll be any better than they've been with their approach. Take it away.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean, pitching is the most valuable asset in the game. Young, old, if you can get 175 innings out of 5 guys, oh my goodness, that is so valuable because then it makes your bullpen better. It makes everybody else better down the depth chart. But the reason the Brewers are understanding, hey, we can't afford to shop in the Justin Verlander pool or the Max Scherzer pool.
Or the Dodgers pool. They did
right.
Exactly that last year, correct?
Exactly. So the point being is like, hey, these guys were somebody before they were somebody. We can still get the best years out of those guys before they go sign their 7-year, $60 million deal, whatever it may be. Because the point being is that the system as it currently does, is currently implemented, actually favors teams like the Brewers because you get 6 years of guaranteed control from a guy, especially in pitching, in his prime years, which is why you're seeing guys accelerated through the minors, guys like Jacob Mizorowski, guys like Chad Patrick, who maybe don't have the traditional 500 minor league innings before they come to the show. It's like 250 now, and even less on some occasions. So the point being is that get them while you have them, and hopefully, like a competent organization, the Brewers are, have more coming no matter what.
Now, the next question becomes, well, instead of getting rid of them, we can keep them for the last year because maybe that'll put us over the top, and then we could get a compensatory pick. And my answer is, again, the risk isn't worth it because you should, if you're good, and the Brewers are, get way more than that compensatory pick when you trade him, as happened recently, before the final year. Correct or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the thing is, though, does the package get that much bigger if you're giving up multiple year season of control? Like I know we talk about Freddie Peralta, right? And yes. I was always in the camp of like, I wouldn't trade him. This was never meant to be a salary dump. And I know people interpret it that way. It was not that in the slightest. It was more about the fact that they got an offer they couldn't refuse. They got 2 guys that are going to play in the big leagues this year, and they have them for 6 more years versus 1 year of Freddie Peralta. So,
well, but if Peralta stays, make sure I have this right. If Peralta stays his last year, then when he leaves, you get something, right? a compensatory draft pick?
You would have to give him a qualifying offer, which he would ultimately decline because the qualifying offer is just essentially a one-year deal.
Right, which is automatic.
125 salary.
Which is automatic. You're going to do it. He's going to turn it down. But I would still say that's significantly less than what they got, and I'm sure that's the standard they used. And that's and so you again, because there's no guarantee you win it with Peralta.
Correct. And I think furthermore, the question about the Brewers pitching staff, now, if you look at the move in a vacuum, you're like, wow, you just got rid of your most reliable pitcher last season. In a vacuum, you're like, ooh, what are they going to do? Well, now that the offseason has ended and they've acquired even more pitching today on WTMJ.com, just about the fact that the Brewers literally saw this blueprint from the Dodgers last year where, hey, I'm not saying the Brewers are going to coast, but I'm just saying, like, nobody cares how many innings you throw in April. You know, ask Brandon Woodruff how he felt in June and July versus how he felt in September, October. He wanted to be pitching in September and October. They don't want to rush anybody. They want to have this stockpile of arms that they have right now so that competition will lend itself to say, well, this guy's ready to go at the end. This guy's our best bet. You know, if you go into October with a healthy Woodruff, a healthy Mizorowski, and maybe a healthy third guy that isn't, you know, on our radar right now, like a Brandon Sproat, like a Kyle Harrison, like a Shane Drowan. That's what you're going for, as opposed to having to throw Jose Quintana and Aaron Ashby as an opener and maybe get 2 or 3 innings out of Priester. Like the Brewers are trying to set themselves up that they have depth stockpiled for October.
Talking with Dom Cotroneo. He, again, is my Brewer expert, but, like, you're all over the place. Tell us Dom Cotroneo Enterprises, and you're like the Jason Wilde of the Brewers. Okay, all the different ways people can take advantage of all that you do. Take it away, Dom.
Yeah, my taxes are very complicated, Homer. But basically, I'm the researcher for television for the Brewers. I also do it with Brian Anderson for TBS on his national games. I'm also our pre- and post-game host on WTMJ for Brewers Radio this season. Got a podcast, Brewers All Access, wherever you get your podcasts. Talking Brewers all the time, once a week, and then during the season, that's where the post-game shows live as well. And I'm just a baseball junkie, Homer. You know that.
So, and I, of course, should have said all those things are free, right? So if I want to know what you're thinking, do you do anything on Twitter, or is it just your podcast, or?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter as well. It's a hellish site at times. Dom_Cotroneo, DOM_COTRONEO, and I'm on Instagram. That's Dom C Baseball. I made sure nobody had to try to spell Cotroneo.
All right. Now, this, of course, is a special Homer hour because it's the Yingling Hotline with Dom Cotroneo. And I'm going to do a little business, then we're going to break, and we'll get to because I need to ask you about the current players and team, and, of course, about Miz. But I just assume they'll be good. They'll be in the playoffs. Who are the players? I'll get to know them. Running a business means taking care of your team and your bottom line. For over 50 years, Saganiac Planning has helped small businesses build smarter, more affordable medical and employee benefit plans. From health insurance to customized coverage options, Saganiac Planning's experts make it simple to protect your people and your future. Saganiac Planning, your partner in planning confidence. They've done it with medium, small, large, all companies, in over 50 years. Visit SaganiacPlanning.com or call Eric Pearson today. You can remember the number, just 783-262-783. Roger Maris, 6161. And yeah, this is my favorite. Woo! If you don't know what that is, then you're probably not interested in Ric Flair coming to Milwaukee March 27th at the Riverside Theater with Thanasis Live with Actually, it's Ric Flair with Thanalysis. If you don't do it that way, he will not be happy with you. So, tickets are limited. Don't wait. Lock yours in now at TA Live Show. TALiveshow.com. Thanalysis Live, March 27th at the Riverside Theater, presented by Gruber Law Offices and Potawatomi Casino Hotel. And so that he doesn't get mad at me, it's Ric Flair joined by Thanasis. Woo! Round 2 with Dom Cotroneo next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Well, southbound 43 is backing up from North Avenue all the way down through the Marquette and over the high-rise bridge. Back on the brakes from about Beecher Street down towards the KK River crossing. On the northbound side, we got delays from just before Fond du Lac Avenue up to north. Southbound 41 also backing up from Silver Spring down past Capitol Drive almost to Burleigh. And then eastbound 94, you got backups from 92nd Street almost to Holly Road. And again, coming through the Stadium interchange to 35th. Westbound's backed up from about 20th Street all the way to Mitchell Boulevard. Traffic is brought to you by the Milwaukee Bucks and the buy one, get one free ticket offer on Thursday, March 5th. Tune in on the 5th for details on how you can get tickets to select Bucks games, courtesy of ESPN Milwaukee. And checking the TMJ4 Storm Team forecast tonight, partly cloudy skies, low of 29. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, a high of 40 at the lakefront, 45 inland. Weather is brought to you by National Liquor Mart at 16th and National in Milwaukee. Packed with the best beer, liquor, seltzer, and spirit deals in town. Open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily, where your satisfaction is their plan of action. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Stay up to date on the Green and Gold all off season. The Green and Gold Fix podcast is brought to you by Potawatomi Casino Hotel. Luxury stay, elite play, unwind in sophisticated comfort. Win big, dine, and experience the events in Milwaukee. All day, every day. The Carbless talk and text line is open for you.
We're not trying to get from A to B. We're trying to get from A to SB, as in the Super Bowl.
800-990-3776. The Carbless talk and text line. This is more.
Let's talk about home turf. Your lawn is a reflection of your pride, hard work, and even competitive spirit. If you want a yard that makes the neighbors stop and stare, you need the right plan. That's where Weedman Lawn Care comes in. Weedman's lawn care program is kid and pet friendly, uses golf course quality fertilizer, and has an effective weed treatment to dominate any issue. Get a free quote of Weedman's winning formula for your yard at weedman.com and get 50% off your first treatment. That's weedman.com. Weedman for the win.
My husband's an animal in bed.
Well, you know.
Not in the fun way. Think warthog. With a chainsaw.
Snoring and sleep apnea affect over 90 million people, and 1 out of 4 couples sleep in separate rooms. Advent can help. We've been Milwaukee's one-stop solution for nasal congestion, snoring, and sleep apnea for over 20 years. Unlike many other practices, we focus exclusively on these conditions, so you get comprehensive care under one roof. Advent's unique approach can help you breathe and sleep better, and many avoid a CPAP. Plus, most insurance is accepted for our effective 20-minute in-office treatments.
Hey, the only animal you want in your bed is your dog.
Advent. Sleep better. Sleep together. Learn how you can improve your life at adventknows.com.
UW Credit Union presents the Student Athlete of the Week, supporting local student athletes as they grow on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. UW Credit Union is here for every you. Learn more at uwcu.org.
With your UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week, I'm Will Summers. This week's UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week is Lake Mills junior forward Tyler Wolin. Wolin reached a major milestone, becoming the 8th player in school history to join the 1,000-point club, finishing with a game-high 24 points in a 78-57 win over Waupun. The victory clinched the Capital North Conference title outright for Lake Mills. A 3-year starter, the 6'3" forward has increased his scoring to a team-leading 14.2 points per game this season, while continuing to impact the game as one of the program's top rebounders and playmakers. Lake Mills now sits at 20-2 overall and 9-0 in conference heading into the postseason. Congratulations to Tyler Wolin, your UW Credit Union Student Athlete of the Week.
This is the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Round 2 with Dom Cotroneo. Where do we start this year's current Brewers? Who do people ask about most? I'm guessing it's Miz. Maybe not. Maybe
Absolutely.
It's Cheerio.
It's Miz the most, and I would say a close second behind that is always going to be Yelly. It's always going to be Yelly.
Oh, yeah.
Can you repeat what he did last year? Does that be Yelly of 2018, 2019? But can he keep this up? But yes, everybody's enamored with anybody who throws 104 miles an hour, and I don't blame him.
All right, let's discuss Miz. What he did last year, how much, what they wanted, what they got out of him. Did they have to change anything at the innings? Recap what they wanted and how he did.
Yeah, I think what they wanted was, quite frankly, exactly what they got. Meaning, I know there are some bumps and bruises and some failures along the way. There's a certain point where it's like you want to see failure, right? And I remember a conversation I had with Miz and with Chris Hook, pitching coach of the Brewers, after there's a spring training like prospect game down here in Arizona every year. It's called Spring Breakout. And Miz was the starting pitcher for that game. And everyone's like, all right, he could be the fifth starter. He could be on the opening day roster. And he just threw a clunker, and he just did not pitch well. And, you know, it was a proper chewing out by Chris Hook of Jacob Mizorowski of like, well, you lock it in. Do you realize how talented you are? And you're just out here coasting on talent. You need to fail. You need to understand how good you are. And lo and behold, he took that advice, ran with it in AAA, came up to the big leagues, lit the world on fire. And the way I see Miz this season is, I mean, this is going to be, you know, a year that the Brewers are going to lean on him, but not necessarily, quote unquote, rely on him. And I think there's a difference. You know, he can get 150 innings. He can get 200 strikeouts, whatever. But point being is nobody cares about his regular season if he's not available at the end of the year. So they're going to be very cautious about overworking him and making sure that, like we say with Woodruff and some of the older guys, like this is a prized commodity for them. They want to hang on to him and keep him as healthy as long as possible.
So he's a starter, first of all, correct?
100%. 100%.
And what would be the range of innings that you think is somewhere close to what they would like in the regular season?
I think the goal is 150 innings for him. And I think that's a stretchy goal. I mean, he was at 130 or so, if I remember correctly, including the playoffs in AAA last year. So he's going to a territory he's never gone before. We were talking about it literally today with Murph about, hey, he's going to have to learn that you don't post, but you just sort of say, hey, you know what? This 1-1 pitch doesn't need to be 102 miles an hour. I need to throw as hard as I can. If I can take a little off it and it's still 98, like that's still a pretty darn good pitch. Or learning how to pitch and to switch things up and to not be so max effort, five and dive all the time. But granted, I see Miz as somebody that is just dynamic. He has other weapons than the fastball. And what we saw from him against the Cubs and against the Dodgers was just brilliant and just kind of gives you a feeling of, man, what this could be. That was still him as a rookie, and there's still so much more learning he could do.
Talking with Dom Cotroneo, how many innings do you anticipate them using in a normal start?
I would say, you know, we've talked about this a lot with Murph, where the traditional – hey, you got 5 starters, or they're going to throw 200 innings, and that's that's just not happening anymore, and especially with the Brewers. I think there will be days where, yeah, you have that one guy that can bust you 6, that can bust you 7 out of nowhere, but they're going to be smart. They've got an incredible bullpen. They also have a multitude of guys that can give you length. Like, I'm not saying they're going to go with tandem starters in the regular season where maybe you have, let's say, Kyle Harrison throw 5, Aaron Ashby follows with 2, and then hopefully you're in the lead and you hand it to Uribe and McGill at the end, right? That could certainly happen. But I think the majority of games this year is going to be somewhere between 5 and 6 innings out of the starter, because that's all they're going to be asking for.
Because I'm looking at, you said 150 innings. I figure you give him 6 innings. Now you're at 25 starts. And that seems to me that would be pretty good. But you'd know better. With 25 starts, or do they want more? Or, again, because it's so much, you don't do too much greater after the previous year. So what, with 25 starts, averaging 6 innings, would that be good, or am I off?
That'd be great. I mean, that'd be a lofty goal. I think no one's going to turn that down for Miz. But I think that the way that the Brewers are going to do this is just sort of understanding that there's going to be quite a shuttle between Nashville and the big leagues this year, because – I mean, when the trades went down that they did, especially the Caleb Durbin deal, I mean, there's only so many guys you can carry. And at some point this year, like the AAA rotation for the Brewers is going to be better than some big league rotations. I mean, it's just the way that they're going to have so much depth, and hopefully everyone's healthy and that sort of thing, that if you get 25 starts of 6 innings out of Miz, if only it was that simple, right? But if you get that out of him, I mean, sign me up for that, and everybody would do that, because then you've got maybe 4 or 5 more starts in the postseason with him, hopefully, if things go according to plan, that he can get maybe 4 to 5 innings in each of those.
Give me the list of names people should know and be following now in the order of expectations and ability by the Brewers in the starting staff? Because for right now, unless you follow closely, it's Miz and the other guys.
For sure. I think for me, most important guy to the monitor is Chad Patrick, because there's not a lot of questions about whether or not he can be a starter anymore. Now, can he develop a true breaking ball, which he did in the second half of the year? He was incredible out of the bullpen in the postseason. But the Brewers are going to lean on him again. Like, can he get to 150 innings? And he's a pitcher, not a thrower, and he has a little bit of sneaky velo. I think Chad Patrick is somebody that's going to quickly become a fan favorite, especially after his performance against the Cubs. And then the next guy on that list for me, and the guy that I'm really excited about, is Brandon Sproat. He was acquired in the Freddie Peralta deal from the Mets. He's already made his big league debut. He's already refining a few things, and the Brewers' way of, hey, you got to throw a putter, and hey, let's try to generate your changeup to get some more swings and misses on it. And he's just a very cerebral pitcher that has a weapon, an arsenal of weapons that can get both righties and lefties out. And then the last guy I want to mention is Shane Drowan. I've just been enamored with his numbers and with the stuff that I'm seeing on video from him. I think he's going to be that guy, maybe not this season, but next season, that he comes up, he's disgusting, he strikes out 8 or whatever, and the Brewers are like, where the heck did they get this guy? Oh, it was in that Caleb Durbin deal that everybody hated for no reason. So those are my 3 names that I'm keeping an eye on right now.
Brewers, Cubs in the division. That's what it is, right? It's
for sure.
And
I know people keep trying to say the Pirates are better. The pitching is unbelievable. Their bullpen still doesn't wow me, and their offense isn't that much better. I do want to give credit to the Reds that, yes, they made the playoffs last year, but I credit it more to the Mets collapsing than the Reds making the playoffs. I mean, the Reds made the playoffs with 83 games. That's not a team that was like banging on the door to get into October.
As is expected every year now, the Brewers are going to make the playoffs again. They don't have to win the division to make the playoffs. What's a reasonable position that people should expect? Because the Brewers have set a standard now. They don't make the playoffs any year. It's a disappointing year.
I agree with that. I think it's a beautiful thing that the Brewers have set up this machine that expects to be in the postseason. I mean, tell fans of that in the 90s and early 2000s, right? I mean, I know the rules are different, obviously, but just the fact that the Brewers not only, can make the playoffs, like think about the mid-10s when they finally break it in 08, but then they don't make it back until 11. And 11 was an incredible season, the franchise record until this past year. They don't make it back again for a while. So, I mean, the point being is that the Brewers have created this sustainable monster that expects to be in the playoffs every year. I still, Homer, am picking the Brewers to win the division. Maybe I'm wearing blue and yellow glasses.
You're supposed to.
But the reason I am is like the offense is virtually the same.
Yep.
The team that they are breaking camp with, without question, in my opinion, is better than the team they broke camp with last year. And last year's team won 97 games. So I'm not saying they're going to win 97 games, but I think the floor of this team is like 88 wins, which still gets you in the postseason.
I know you're busy, so 30 seconds left. I think the manager is more popular than anybody on the team, but I don't know if that's in fact the case. I think people are fascinated with so many things about him. What do you know? 30 seconds that you want to tell people that they either don't know or you want to emphasize.
Pat Murphy is a leader of men and is one of the smartest baseball minds I have ever been around. People who think, oh, he's this old school manager, he's in his 60s, he probably just thinks of the game different. No. He understands the modern game, he understands the numbers, and he's able to marry that with the hard-nosed mentality, the entertaining brand of baseball the Brewers play. It's all in his image. Pat Murphy is a perfect fit at the perfect time for the Brewers.
Thanks, Dom. We will do this again.
Thank you, Homer. Appreciate you.
You bet. Dom Cotroneo. And we will get to the third period with Jason Wilde, but I want to first mention Milwaukee weight loss, and all you need to know, and the most important thing about any weight loss program is it works. It works. My goal, I'm down 20. I want 10 more. Gets a little harder after 20, and that will be done before the end of the month. But that isn't the key. The reason I was willing to do Milwaukee weight loss is other people told me they've been on it for over a year. What good is any weight loss if it works for even a couple months and then you gain the weight back? No, I'm expecting and look forward to in a year to say, still down that 30 pounds. So, Milwaukee weight loss. You want to know the specifics? No crazy workouts, no prepackaged meals, no counting calories. And my answer is you can talk to them and they'll tell you, because what really matters is it works. So, 262-235-3980, 262-235-3980, or MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com, MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. It works. People convinced me, and that's why they said it works. There's no way you can stay on diet. And it works. They said it's almost easy. It's almost easy is a great way to put it, or, as I say, it works. And no crazy stuff. If it was crazy stuff, you wouldn't be able to do it and continue it for a year like these people are. 262-235-3980, MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Segment 3, or period 3, or quarter 3 with Jason Wilde. Next.
The Homer Hour is back after this on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Southbound on 43, we got backups from Locust all the way down through the Marquette interchange. We got the northbound side backing up out of the Marquette up to Locust as well, so give yourself some extra time there. Westbound 94, we've got backups from just about 20th Street to Mitchell Boulevard. Eastbound is slowing down from the Zoo interchange all the way past 68th Street. And we've got a crash on 894 southbound right into the Hale interchange off on the right shoulder. And checking the TMJ4 Storm King forecast tonight, partly cloudy skies, patchy fog later on, a low of 30. Tomorrow, a chance for fog early, partly cloudy with a high of 45 at the lake, 54 inland. From the WTMJ Traffic Center, I'm Debbie Lazaga on 94.5 ESPN.
Hi, this is Marie from Discount Liquor. And Wisconsin beer fans, the wait is over. Yuengling is finally here. That's right, America's oldest brewery has officially arrived in Wisconsin for the very first time. Get your Yuengling in bottles, cans, and half barrels. This month, we'll be running special promotions with all Yuengling purchases. Stop in and see why fans across the country have loved Yuengling for generations. If you've been patiently waiting for Yuengling to finally make its way here, that wait is over. Now is the time. At Discount Liquor, we stock over 15,000 varieties of beer, wine, spirits, and mixers, all at the lowest prices in town. From unique craft brews to hard-to-find whiskeys and unforgettable wines, we're your one-stop shop for every occasion. Visit us in Milwaukee at 51st in Oklahoma or downtown Waukesha at Barstow in Maine. Discount Liquor, where selection meets savings. Stop in and grab some Yuengling.
Discount Liquor. James Imaging Systems, a 100% Wisconsin-owned and managed business technology company. James' client, Amy Simonson, IT administrator with Professional Services Group.
We have several locations throughout southeastern Wisconsin. Having them all under one company has been very helpful.
Big or small, one location or several, James Imaging Systems is your one-stop business technology resource.
And they are on top of everything. When we have a problem, it's answered right away.
James Imaging Systems, IT-driven workflow automation, security enhancements, digital transformation, and unrivaled local service and support.
And they're always looking for what else can we do? What else do you need? So they want our company to succeed as well as their own.
Let James Imaging Systems help your business succeed. Call 262-781-7700 or visit jamesimaging.com. James Imaging Systems, your local business technology partner.
Homer here from ESPN Milwaukee. What makes living at Three Pillars so special? Let's hear from my friend Dave.
The campus is beautiful. For me, nature is my church, and I love being outside. We live by the Bark River, and it's calming. It just calms my soul. I just love it. A lot of the people, I'm talking about 100-year-old people, 90 years old, say they credit Three Pillars with living longer.
Hi, this is Mike from Infinity Exteriors. Most contractors cut corners and disappear when there's a problem. Not us. Since 1997, we've completed over 60,000 projects, earned thousands of 5-star reviews, and were named 2025 Roofing Magazine Contractor of the Year. We set the standard for exterior remodeling. Trusted by homeowners, proven every single day. We're excited to show you why choosing Infinity means peace of mind. Visit infinityexteriors.com to see why your neighbors trust Infinity.
You're listening to the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app. It's time for Jason Wilde on the Homer Hour on 94.5 ESPN.
It is the special Homer Hour, what I like to call the Yingling Hotline Homer Hour, because first it was Tom Cotroneo, and now on the Yingling Hotline, it is Jason Wilde, 3-time Wisconsin Sports Writer of the Year. All right, you ready to go, Jason?
I am. I love saying Yingling, too. It's very fun to say.
And I experienced Yingling from all the travels with Marquette, and there was certainly a time, I don't know, I think it was Pennsylvania, like, you got to have this beer. Yeah. And it was like Coors
Pennsylvania.
From back in the 70s, yeah. And then next thing you know, now it's here. So, yes, this is the Yingling Hotline. I don't know where to start. Where do you want to start? I mean, this is the day you can have transition franchise the last day. There have been a couple of note. I guess the one to me, because I'm fixated on Seattle and John Schneider, that they're apparently going to let their Super Bowl MVP running back go. Which seems like a surprise, but maybe not.
I don't know if they're going to let him. I don't know if they're going to let him go, but they're not going to tag him, and I don't know what the market is going to bear for him. I do think historically, guys that win the Super Bowl MVP who are non-quarterbacks, there was a guy, a defensive back for like Dallas who won it once.
Yes, and
he
Desmond
got overpaid.
Howard, Jackson. There were a couple of defenses.
I was going to say Desmond Howard's a great example. There was a guy for
Tampa,
the Buccaneers, when they won the Super Bowl that got it, and he got overpaid then. So, I think Kenneth Walker is a nice player. I think he could help some teams, certainly, as their running back. But I think John Schneider's a really smart guy, and I don't think he's going to pay the market price that he's most likely going to command. So I think that makes perfect sense. It's also what makes me wonder, despite Goody saying absolutely when asked at the scouting combine if Josh Jacobs is going to be their number one running back next season. He's got enough of a track record that I'm hesitant to accept absolutely as what we define absolutely is, which is without question 100%. I never, ever since the Aaron Jones thing and some other things that he's been a little bit less than fully forthcoming on, you find yourself wondering a little bit.
Doesn't he just leave out at the right price, or is that not accurate in the issues
yes
of players?
And no. I mean, again, I do think that when he says some of these things, he knows that he's kind of fudging the truth. It's one of the reasons why...
That he knows they're probably not going to be back, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, when he says of these guys that are under contract, I mean, he doesn't wink when he says it, but we all know, right? Well, he's under contract, so I expect him to be back. It's such a cop-out, disingenuous answer, but I get it, right? It was weird at the scouting combine, and I think we talked about this briefly last week, that he actually flat out said at one point in his answer about Rashawn Gary, if he's back next year, which it was almost as if then he realized he shouldn't have said that, because then he kind of overcompensated the next time he was asked about Rashawn Gary. And again, I don't know if he's going to be back or not. I don't think we can say for certain that Rashawn Gary will be released. Maybe they do come to some sort of contract, pay cut type deal. The guy that I think is kind of the slam dunk, and I hate to say it because I really like him, is Elton Jenkins. I mean, it just makes no sense whatsoever on any level for them to bring him back. He's old, he's injured. I think he's going to go play somewhere else and have a second kind of career with whoever picks him up at probably a reasonable rate, and probably will play him at guard. But no, we're kind of in that point of the offseason, though, where they've got some pretty important decisions to make on guys that are under contract that they don't want to keep at the price that they're currently going to cost them against the cap.
And it fits into, so what are the, and you've talked about this, what's Goody going to do? And I've stood by this from when they both got a contract extension, that they should feel like whatever we're doing, the way we're doing it, they like it, and that he'll continue to keep doing it as he has in the past, which means I don't know that he'll do much, because that would mean he doesn't believe in his guys. But again, I'll let you finish here. He still may need to do some things because of what you've brought up. So it may be somewhere in the middle.
No, I think he's got a lot to do. I don't know how he's going to do it.
All right, at what position?
I have some theories.
Let's say.
First of all, to your point about, because you and I have talked about this a fair amount now over the last couple weeks ever since those guys got those extensions, and I agree with you in principle, but again, and no one is ever in the interest of throwing money away, right? And giving a guy an extension and then only to fire him shortly thereafter. But first of all, no extension is going to keep you safe if the bottom falls completely out, right? And I don't see that as something that's going to happen to this team. I really don't. I think they're going to get Tucker Kraft back. I think they're going to get Micah Parsons back. I think Jordan Love's going to continue to play at a high level. I think they've got some really good players on offense. I think they've got some really good players on defense, but they're going to have holes. They're going to reconfigure their offensive line, which is never a surefire, this is going to work out great proposition, right? I mean, we don't know if Jordan Morgan can be a every week, 17-game starting left tackle of NFL caliber. We just don't. Just because he's a first-round pick doesn't mean he will be, right? And they're going to let Rasheed Walker walk. They're probably going to let Sean Ryan walk. Maybe he doesn't have a big market, and they bring him back on some sort of inexpensive prove-it deal, but I'm a skeptic of that. I think somebody's probably going to pay him more, and he's going to jump at the opportunity for a fresh start. They're going to release Elton Jenkins. They've got Zach Tom coming off of a partially torn patellar tendon. I still don't know how good Aaron Banks is. So their offensive line needs an upgrade. Their center position, they need to find somebody to play center, whether that's Tyler Biotish, the former Badger who was cut by Washington a couple days ago, or someone else. If they don't bring back Sean Ryan, they're going to need a center. But what I would say when I bring up Tyler Biotish, and you and I talked about this last week, so I saw it was clipped on social media, that's the kind of guy that it makes sense to sign. Because they're going to get a windfall of compensatory picks for the 2027 draft. Malik Willis is going to be a third-round compensatory pick that they're going to get. Rasheed Walker is going to be a third-round pick. Quay Walker, I don't know, fifth or sixth-round pick. And then there's one other one. Romeo Dobbs is going to be like a fifth-round pick. Well, that's a lot of really good picks. That's premium draft picks. So you're going to add 4 potentially if you don't sign any of your own unrestricted free agents, and that's very valuable. So I expect them to not sign guys like Kenneth Walker, who reaches the end of his contract and is a traditional unrestricted free agent. I think they're going to do what they did with a guy like Julius Peppers way back in the day, which is he was cut by the Bears. So he doesn't factor into the compensatory pick equation. That's why Tyler Biotish is the guy whose name I keep saying. Plus, it's fun to say the word Biotish.
Yeah, and he's a local guy. Come on.
Exactly. So, look, but to your question, they need more depth on their defensive line. They need more depth on their offensive line. They need to figure out what exactly their vision is at running back. They need tight ends, because even though they're going to get Tucker Kraft back, and even though Luke Musgrave is under contract for another year, Luke Musgrave did not exactly elevate his game to new heights while Tucker Kraft was out. They lost one of the 2 guys, John Fitzpatrick, who was filling some of those snaps. He ruptured his Achilles. So they have needs at tight end. corner is a big need, right? Nate Hobbs did not work out as a signing. Carrington Valentine had some inconsistency. Keyshawn Nixon is a number one corner, but I don't think if he's your number one corner, you feel great about where your corner position is at.
But hold on, let me interrupt. He's going to be the number one corner this year, don't you think? I mean, that's almost a given. Who else would it be?
I mean, again, there's another guy that Washington just cut. I mean, they're just shedding salary. There's no tomorrow.
Good.
But Marshawn Lattimore is a really good player. Now, again, I don't know what he's going to cost, but the trick in free agency, because Micah Parsons is a good example of this too. They signed him to that big contract, but like the first couple of years, they actually don't count a ton. It's later on where they really whack you with their cap number.
They need to find a quarterback like they found McKinney at safety. That kind of thing. It'll be a different situation, I know, but it's the same.
And the fact that the Giants were stupid enough to let Xavier McKinney out of their building is just like you have to be so fortunate to get a guy like McKinney that a team is dumb enough not to re-sign. Like, I'll tell you the guy that I think is the McKinney of this free agent class.
Oh, okay.
Tyler Linderbaum, the center from Baltimore, played at Iowa. Like, I can't believe he's hitting the market. And maybe he'll reach an extension with Baltimore and stay with the Ravens with their new coaching staff. Or maybe John Harbaugh will bring him to the Giants to be their center. But those are the players that you just can't let out of your building. And in fairness to Goody, you know, as much as I think Rasheed Walker is underappreciated and underrated, as much as I think Romeo Doubs is a solid contributing player, you know, the one guy that I think that they could be at risk of other teams saying of them, I can't believe they let this guy out of their building, is Quay Walker. But again, he hasn't done it at such a high consistency level where you can say they have to re-sign him. They absolutely, positively have to re-sign him. I don't think you can say that about Quay. And I go back to what I told you this because I think it was right after I'd been in the locker room. I think it was on a Wednesday, and then I was on with you on a Wednesday afternoon. You know, Quay Walker told me early in the season that he had an offer from the Packers on the table and that he had not signed it for an extension. And now here he's about to hit the market. So they obviously at some point thought, hey, we like this guy enough, we want him to come back. They didn't offer him as much as he thinks he can get. And so now we're going to see what the market bears for him.
And isn't their track record in doing that pretty good? I think of the guys that Micah Hyde, I guess. I mean, I'm trying to think of people that left
they were
the
wrong
Packers.
About him. Yep.
But there haven't been
Great
many,
example.
have there?
There are not many instances where you didn't re-sign a guy or you released a guy and then afterward you're like, God, we really should have kept that guy. No, that more often than not, that player goes on elsewhere and is not as productive as he was in Green Bay. That's true. But there are exceptions, and maybe Quay Walker will be that exception. Maybe they won't.
I don't think he will. But I want to be on record for that.
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, I think they're counting on. Your guy Edgerrin Cooper.
Yeah, we need to address him because I was just wrong on that, and I don't know what to expect this year. I'm wondering on who's the next Cooper that doesn't become the Cooper. Like, I'm wondering if I want to take Matthew Golden as the guy I think that's going to elevate in a big way this year, but I'm afraid I'll do a Cooper 2 on it. But no, Cooper, he wasn't that good. He didn't do maybe the last game?
Not that impactful.
Never.
He was definitely not that impactful.
Yes.
You know, I would say the guy that has elevated and that I think has a chance to be a really, really good player is Javon Bullard. And he's not even a full-time player. He basically plays in the nickel. But I think he's kind of everything that they really like about defensive backs, that they can cover, they can hit, they can defend the run.
Why can't he be the number one cornerback one day?
Because he's not an outside corner. I mean, he's built to be a safety or a nickel guy, and that's where he'll be. But that's a valuable position, and he can blitz, he can cover, he does a lot of really cool stuff.
He wouldn't be like Nixon saying, "I can be the number one corner." He he expects he understands that limitation, Bullard, or not?
Yeah, I mean he's because that's how he was at Georgia too. Like he's a guy that can play everywhere. And yes, if you were in a situation where Nixon got hurt, I think I'd rather try and play Bullard outside than try and bring Bo Melton in for his first defensive snaps in a game that counts. But again, my point, this all goes back to your original question, which is, what their offseason is going to look like. And I think Goody's got a really, really big offseason ahead of him. I mean, he's got to hit on some picks that can help them right away in the draft. He's got to sign some reasonably priced free agents, and he's got to figure out if there are any guys in his own free agent class that he is willing to re-sign, and if any of them, and really it's not is he willing to re-sign them, but are they going to be re-signable at a lower than market rate? Because if these guys are all hitting the market and they have teams competing for their services, he's not going to re-sign any of them.
But just in our discussion, it seems clear to me that you're thinking one of the big things, he's got to go outside. I mean, you brought up a couple people. You brought up all the people outside, not, hey, they've got to make sure they re-sign this guy. You seem to be thinking outside.
I don't think any of the guys that they have that are hitting free agency are I mean, there's some guys that it would be great if you're Goody, if you could re-sign them, but again, you want them at your price. Like, it's nothing against Rasheed Walker. They're not mad at him for his kind of offhanded, undefeated
he's
remarks.
Too expensive.
Somebody else is going to pay him way more than they're willing to pay him. And again, they drafted Jordan Morgan. It's time for him, but this is where, GMs have to prove to be right about players. Because if your philosophy, which Goody's has been, is to basically use up draft picks and then let them leave, John Runyon, for example, Josh Myers, for example. If that's going to be your attitude, then you have to be on point with who you pick or acquire to replace those guys. And, again, we all love McKinney. We all think McKinney's a really good player. Well, his signing and free agency was precipitated by the fact that you missed on your 2019 first-round pick at safety, Darnell Savage. And let's be honest, if Rashawn Gary was the player that they were hoping he would be at number 12, they never have to trade for Micah Parsons.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If Josh Myers, a second-round pick in 2021, who played a hell of a lot of football for you, if you thought he was good enough to keep around, then you re-sign him instead of paying Aaron Banks and moving Elton Jenkins to center. So all of these draft picks who don't work out, there is a cause and effect then that leads to free agency. Now the difference is, Ted would just accumulate a bunch of picks and draft somebody else at the position, and that guy would more often than not, right? Like you miss on Alan Barber, and you bring back Tausch on a 1-year deal in 2009, but you also draft T.J. Lang and you draft Josh Sitton, and you nailed it on both of those guys, right? Yep. So, in this case, the Packers only have, I think, 8 picks, assuming they get the compensatory picks we're expecting them to get, and Goody's got a hit on it.
All right, Jason, we will talk again tomorrow. I hope you felt special the first time, given all you've accomplished, your first time ever on the Yingling Hotline. So,
I did feel special, but I'll be back on that again tomorrow, and I look forward to it.
Yes,
Thanks,
you
Homer.
will.
Take care.
You
Be
bet.
good.
Jason Wilde, all Packers all the time. The fourth period coming up next.
More of the Homer Hour coming up next on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Don't miss a moment of the basketball tournament action this March at 3rd Street Market Hall, home to your one-stop, must-stop viewing destination. 3rd Street Market Hall has over 20 locally owned food vendors, a 30 self-serve beer wall, over 50 HD TVs, plus game day specials. The perfect place to work remotely or catch a game between meetings or over lunch. 3rd Street Market Hall is your downtown home for basketball this March.
An ESPN Radio Extra Point. with Chris Canty.
The Las Vegas Raiders trading down to number 2 and giving the New York Jets the number 1 pick. These two organizations are both rebuilding, but they're in different places. Clint Kubiak just got the job. He's going to have an extended runway to get this thing built out in Vegas. Aaron Glenn, if things go off the rails in the first 2 months of the season, might not be around by Thanksgiving. So they've got to find a quarterback. And guess what? Good for the Jets that they've got a ton of draft capital. Today, they have 6 tradable first-round draft picks. On draft day, they would have 7. New York Jets make the Las Vegas Raiders an offer that they can't refuse. Now, to be clear, there is more risk associated with this move for the Jets than there is for the Raiders, but I absolutely think it's a risk worth taking when you consider the character of Fernando Mendoza. The Jets have to buy their way out of quarterback hell, and this would be the time to do it.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Okay, class, let's begin.
Psst, love your boots. I just sold a pair like that on eBay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it took like 2 seconds to list, and they sold almost immediately. I've been selling everything lately. Some chunky boots, a faux fur coat I never wore, and a vintage chair that was more of an expensive clothing rack.
You know, I actually bought these on eBay. Wait, are you Kitty Sell Stuff from Brooklyn?
Okay, quiet, please.
Find what you love. Sell what you don't. eBay. Things people love.
Monica, we've got to hand it to you.
You and the design team have outdone yourselves.
Are you talking about the One collection?
Those rings say you are the one.
And they say it symbolically.
Describe the symbols.
Every ring in the One collection should be presented with a special ritual.
What would that ritual be?
You pick up her left hand and you place a kiss on her ring finger.
Rick, you never told me about that part.
Then you show her the tiny red diamond, flush mounted inside the ring, that will forever be in contact with her finger.
Why is it red?
Because that's when the giver says to the one, wherever you go, my heart goes with you.
I give you this kiss. I give you my heart.
The red diamond is a secret symbol of that sacred moment.
The center diamond on the outside of the ring is for the whole world to see.
But the tiny red created diamond inside the ring is only for the two of them.
The One collection of engagement rings is available exclusively at Kessler's.
To find the Kessler's nearest you,
visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Why DIY your frozen pizza toppings when Screamin' Sicilian already went over the top for you? We're talking whole milk mozzarella, heaps of premium meats, a mountain of veggies. Screamin' Sicilian is frozen pizza stacked, no add-ons needed. Mamma mia! Screamin' Sicilian, so loaded with toppings, it's almost cheating. Find Screamin' Sicilian in your local grocer's freezer section and taste what all the screamin' is about.
Welcome back to the Homer Hour on ESPN Wisconsin and the ESPN Wisconsin app.
Again, it's been the Yuengling Hotline Homer Hour. And I want to thank Dom Cotroneo and Jason Wilde. I do want to mention Fisco Auto Body. It's a family business owned since 1931. It's not what they do, it's who they are. They're that good, and they still own the business, so they're still doing the work on the cars. They haven't passed it along. On Forest Home in Franklin, Fisco Auto Body, expert workmanship guaranteed for the life of your vehicle. Any damage, Fisco has you covered. Fisco Auto Body on Forest Home in Franklin, Fisco, so you remember the name. Now we had Discount Liquor Twitter poll question. Packers versus Seattle. Well, I'll leave Pebble figure that like, I believe in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, Seattle will win more Super Bowls than the Green Bay Packers. In the next 5 years. Agree or disagree? Seattle wins more Super Bowls than the Green Bay Packers. Yes, I'm obsessed with John Schneider and the historic mistake that we'll all live with about the Green Bay Packers. Next.
Southbound